ఎక్సలెంట్. మీరు ఎలా ఉన్నా ఎక్సలెంట్ అన్న విషయాన్ని మాట్లాడండి. మీరు ఎక్సలెంట్‌గా ఉన్నారనుకోండి, అద్భుతంగా ఉన్నారనండి, మీరు ఐశ్వర్యవంతులనండి. మనం 'యు ఆర్ ద ప్లేసిబో' అనే పుస్తకం గురించి మాట్లాడుకుందాం. ఏం చెప్తుందంటే, 'యు ఆర్ ద ప్లేసిబో ఈజ్ ద ఇన్‌స్ట్రక్షన్ మాన్యువల్ హౌ టు ప్రొడ్యూస్ మిరాకిల్స్ ఇన్ యువర్ బాడీ'. నీ ఆడికి తెలీదు కదా! ఆ! ఎన్ని సార్లు చెప్పావు. సో, మిరాకిల్స్ మీ జీవితంలో ఎలా ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయొచ్చు? Like most of his fans, I look forward to Doy Dispenza provoking ideas. I never planned on doing any of this. ఈ విధంగా ఐ నెవర్ చూడు నేను మీనింగ్ చెప్తాను. ఐ నెవర్ ప్లాన్డ్ ఆన్ డూయింగ్ ఎనీ ఆఫ్ దిస్. ఈ విధంగా నేను ఏ విధమైనటువంటి ప్రణాళిక వేసుకోలేదు. ద వర్క్ ఐఎమ్ కరెంట్లీ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్ ఇన్ యాజ్ ఎ స్పీకర్, ఆథర్ అండ్ రీసెర్చర్ షార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఫౌండ్ మీ. ఏదైతే ఐఎమ్ ద వర్క్ ఐఎమ్ కరెంట్లీ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్, ఇప్పుడు ఏదైతే ఇన్వాల్వ్ అయ్యి ఉన్నానో, ఇన్ యాజ్ ఎ స్పీకర్, ఆథర్ అండ్ రీసెర్చర్ షార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఫౌండ్ మీ. In other order, for some of us wake up, we sometimes need a wake up call. In 1986, I got the call on a beautiful Southern California day in April. I had the privilege of being run over by an SUV in a Palm Spring triathlon, and that moment changed my life and started me on the whole journey. I was 23 at the time with a relatively new chiropractic practice in La Jolla, California. I had trained hard for this triathlon for months. I had finished the swimming segment and was in the biking portion of the race when it happened. I was coming up to a tricky turn where I know we had been merging with the traffic. A police officer with his back to the oncoming cars waved me on to turn right and follow the course. Since I was fully exerted myself and uh, focused on the race, I never took my eyes off him. అక్కడి నుంచి విట్టిలేదు. As I passed two cyclists on that particular corner and a red four-wheel drive bro going about 55 miles an hour slammed into my bike from behind. The next thing I know, I was capsulated up into the air. Then I land squarely on my backside. Because of the speed of the vehicle and the slow reflex of the elder woman driving the Bronco, the SUV kept coming forward towards me, and I was soon reunited with its bumper. I quickly grabbed the bumper in order to avoid the being run over and to stop my body from passing between the metal and asphalt. So I was dragged down the road a bit before the driver realized that was happening. When she finally did abruptly stop, అంటే చూడు ఎంత బాగా చెప్పాడు. వెన్ షీ ఫైనలీ డిడ్ అబ్రాప్ట్లీ స్టాప్. ఆఖరికి ఆయన ఒక సైకిల్ రేస్లో పాల్గొన్నాడు అనమాట. ఆయన చూసుకోకుండా సైకిల్ రేస్ వెళ్ళిపోతున్నప్పుడు ఏడు జరిగింది, ఆ సైకిల్ రేస్లోని ఒక వెహికల్ వెనక్కి వచ్చేసింది అనమాట. ఈయన గుద్దిసింది, అలా పట్టుకొని వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. ఫైనల్గా ఆగిందనమాట ఒక దగ్గర. ఐ క్యాన్ స్టిల్ రిమెంబర్, నేను ఇప్పటికీ గుర్తు తెచ్చుకోగలను, ద సౌండ్ ఆఫ్ ద బైక్స్ whizzing by and horrified screams and profanities of the rider passing me, not knowing whether they should stop and help or continue the race. As I lay there, all I could do was surrender. Hello, thank you. So surrender. So I can still remember the sound of bikes. I would soon discover that I had broken six vertebrae. I had compression fractures in the thoracic 8, 9, 10, and 11 and 12 lumbar, and the vertebrae are stacked like individual blocks in the spine. And when I hit the ground, that kind of force, they collapsed and compressed from the impact. Yeah. I would soon discover that I had broken six vertebrae. I had compression fractures in thoracic 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12 lumbar, ranging from my shoulder and breast to my kidneys. The vertebrae are stuck like individual blocks in the spine. When I hit the ground with that kind of force, they collapsed and compressed from the impact. The eighth thoracic and but the top segment వెయిట్ చదవద్దులే. ఎవరో తెలియదు మనకి పేర్లు ఎవరో తెలియదు మనకి. When a vertebrae and pushed together in a vertical and like shape. When a vertebrae circular arc that contain and protect the spinal cord was broken and pushed together in a fragile like shape. So when a vertebra compress and fractures, the bone has to go somewhere. In my case, a large volume of shattered fragments went back towards my spinal and cord. It was definitely not a good picture, as if I were in a bad dream gone trough. I woke up the next morning with a host of neurological symptoms, mm, including several different types of pain, varying degrees of numbness and tingling, and some loss of feeling in my legs. See, and some sobering and difficulties and controlling my movements. So after I had all blood tests, X-rays, CAT scans, MRIs at the hospital, the orthopedic surgeon showed me the result and some weirdly delayed the new. In order to contain the bone fragment that were now on my spinal cord, I needed surgery to implant and Horin rod that would remain cutting out the back part of the vertebrae from two or three segments above and below the fracture. Then the screwing and clamping two 12-inch stainless steel rods along both sides of my spinal column. Then they had scraped some fragments of my hip bone and fast them over the rods. It would be major surgery, but it would mean I had at least have a chance to walk again. Even so, I know I had probably still be somewhat disabled. I had have to live with a chronic pain for the rest of my life. Needless to say, I did not like that option. But if I choose not to have the surgery, paralysis seemed to Satan, the best neurologist in the Palm Spring areas, who concurred. అది అవసరం ఏంటండి నీకు దాంతో అవసరం. See, with the first surgeon's opinion, told me that he know of no other patient in the United States in my condition who had refused it. The impact of the accident had compressed my T8 vertebrae into a wedge shape that would be prevent my spine from being able to bear the weight of my body. If I were to stand up, my backbone would collapse, pushing those shattered bits of the wet breed and deep. So I were to stand up, my backbone would collapse, pushing those shattered bits of the vertebra deep into my spinal cord, causing the instant paralysis from my chest down. That was hardly an attractive option either. I was transformed to a hospital in Los Angeles, closer to my home, whether I received two additional opinions, including one from the leading orthopedic surgeon in the Southern California. Not surprisingly, both doctors agreed that I should have the Harrington Road surgery. It was a petty consistent prognosis. I have the surgery or be paralyzed, never walk again. If I had been a medical professional making the recommendation, I had have said the same thing. It was the safest option, but it was not option I choose for myself. Maybe I was just young and blurred at that time in my life, but I decided against the medical model and expect recommendation. I believe that there is an intelligence and invisible consciousness within each of us that's a giver of life. It supports, maintains, protection, and heals us every moment. It creates almost maintains, protects, and heals us every moment. It creates almost 100 trillion specialized cells. It keeps our heart beat hundreds of thousands of times per day. And it can be organized hundreds of thousands of chemical reactions in a single cell in every second. So, among many other amazing functions, I reasoned at that time, if this intelligence was real and if it will be fully and mindfully and lovingly demonstrated such amazing ability, maybe I could take my attention off my external world and begin to go within and connect with, developing a relationship with it. But while I intellectually understood that the body often has a capacity to heal itself, ఏం అర్థం చేసుకున్నాడు? But while I intellectually understood that the body often has a capacity to heal itself, now I had to apply every bit. అంటే మన శరీరం మనల్ని ఇన్ని చేసుకోగలదు. Philosophy that I know in order to take the knowledge to the next level and beyond, to create a true experience with healing. And since I was not going to anywhere and I was not doing anything except laying face down, I decide on two things. First, every day I would put all of my conscious attention on this intelligence within me and give it a plan, a template, a vision with a very specific orders. And then I would surrender my healing to this great mind and that unlimited power, allowing it to do the healing for me. And second, I would not let any thought slip my awareness that I did not want to experience. Sounds easy, right? A radical decision. Against the advice of my medical team, I left the hospital in an ambulance and that brought me to the home of two close friends, where I stayed for the next 3 months to focus on my healing. I was on a mission. I was on a mission. I was on a mission. I decided that I would begin every day reconstructing of my spine, vertebrae, and I would show this consciousness. ఇక్కడ కిందన మామ ఉంటుంది, మామ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి కూర్చో. I know that it would demand my absolute presence, that is for me to be present in the moment, not thinking about and regretting fast, worrying about the future. So, obsessing about the condition in my external life or focusing on my pain or symptoms, just as in any relationship we have with a body, We all know when someone is present or not with us, right? Because consciousness is awareness. Awareness is paying attention, and the paying attention is being present and noticing. This consciousness would be aware of when I was present and when I was not. I would have to totally present when I interact with the mind. My presence would have to match this presence. My will would have to match this its will. My mind would have to match this mind. So for 2 hours twice a day, I went within and began creating a picture of my intended result. So a total healed spine. Of course, I became the aware of how unconscious and unfocused I was, and it's ironic. I realized that back then, at when a crisis or trauma occurs, we spend too much of our attention and energy thinking about what we don't want instead of what we do want. During those first several weeks, I was guilty of this tendency